Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. I hope everybody had a great spring break and a great Masters week. The City of Augusta congratulates 2024 Masters champion Scotty Scheffler. Madam Clerk, with that being said, let's get this meeting started. I call this meeting to order.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At this time, we will ask Pastor Angel if he would please come forward to give our invocation, after which we will ask our procurement director, Ms. Jerry Sams, if she would please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
Let's close our eyes and bow our heads. Lord, in the name of Jesus, Father, thank you for this wonderful afternoon that we are just celebrating this beautiful new season, this spring that is blooming all the colors of our city. Thank you for the Masters Week that we had, which means a lot to our community and to our city. Thank you for keeping us safe and to bless us with so many people who came from around the world to gather with us in the celebration of the champions. Thank you. Thank you for everything that you do for us. Thank you for our mayor, for the commissioners, and everyone involved in our city's business. Thank you, Lord. Thank you. We cannot stop saying thank you because you are guiding us through a success that Jesus already conquered for us in the cross and through his resurrection. We ask you, Lord, that guide us on this afternoon through the businesses that we're going to be talking about for our city, for the well-being of every individual in our community. We ask you, Lord, for your blessings, directions, and solutions that all our people need in our city. In the name of Jesus, we ask you your blessings. Amen. Amen.
Ms. Sams.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pastor Angel, we appreciate you coming today to invoke God's presence on our behalf. We truly appreciate you and thank you for taking the time to be with us today. Please accept our deepest gratitude as we value the spiritual insights and guidance you share with us today. Your thoughtfulness as an act of service for God. By these presents be it known that Reverend Angel Mastry, pastor of the Oasis of Blessing Christian Center, is chaplain of the day. May his spiritual guidance and civic leadership serves as an example for all citizens of Augusta. Given my hand this 16th day of April, 2024, Garnett L. Johnson, Mayor. Thank you.
Pastor, thank you so much for being here today, and thank you for that prayer. Thank you. All right, Madam Clerk, let's continue.
At this time, we call your attention to the recognition portion of our agenda. Director of our Human Resources Department, Ms. Anita Ruckert, would recognize and present our 2024 March Years of Service recipients, 50 years. Augusta Commission offers its congratulations.
Good afternoon, Mayor Johnson, commissioners, interim administrator, and citizens of Augusta. As the Human Resources Director, it gives us great joy in recognizing today our March Years of Service recipients. For the month of March 2024, we had 27 employees celebrating 5 to 50 years of service. This afternoon, we'd like to recognize our 25 to 50 years of service recipients. For the month of March, the total years of service and institutional knowledge being celebrated today is 355 years. Yes. So when I call your names, please come forward. Ms. Cheryl Epps, Sheriff's Office, 25 years. Timothy Owens, the Sheriff's Office, 30 years. Mary Smith, Superior Court, 30 years. Walter Ashley, Sheriff's Office, 35 years. Congratulations again to all of our years of service recipients today.
Ms. Mayor Smith, thank you so much for dedicating 30 years of service to this great town, Augusta, Georgia. Also, thanks to all those sheriff's deputies with the Richmond County Sheriff's Office for their time. We really understand that they're busy this time of day, and so they couldn't be here, but we certainly, if you know them, please call, email, or text them congratulations on behalf of the City of Augusta and this commission for their years of service. Madam Clerk, let's continue.
Okay. Call your attention to item B under our delegations. Mr. Moses Todd from the I Love Augusta, Inc. to discuss South Richmond County Water Park SPLOST 9.
Thank you. Good day, Mr. Todd. Welcome. Thank you for being here, sir. For the record, please state your name and address.
Moses Todd, 2747 Deansbridge Road, Augusta, Georgia.
Thank you, sir. You have 5 minutes.
Yes. And Mr. Mayor, I'm not here representing Moses Todd. I'm here representing I Love Augusta, Inc. And we do several things in this community over the years. We've done several things in this community over the last 8 years. But certainly the concept of the water park and for Augusta was one of the bigger projects that we took on. We didn't advocate as far as the vote go one way or the other. We advocated for getting it on the commissioner's agenda and their priority list. And the Augusta Commission at the time put it on the agenda with a vote of 7-3, I believe it was. And the citizens of Augusta, Richmond County voted 67% to do the water park. The naysayers, a lot of them that don't live in Augusta, Richmond County, criticize the water park concept and the ability of our government to manage a water park. I disagree with them, and I want you to know that I disagree with them. That I feel that this government, with the resources we have, the manpower situation we're under, the supply situation that we're under since COVID, has done one outstanding job governing. Do we have some niches here and there? Yes, but I think that we work together to overcome those niches versus, making those niches bigger or trying to make those niches bigger. So I want to defer to Orangeburg County, South Carolina's water park and what they've done in 2016 and the success of their water park. Or we can look at in the boroughs, Bullock County, Statesboro, what their recreation department and using county dollars to run it and what their success rate is and what they've done. And we could go further out, in the Midwest, but I don't think it's necessary to do that. the water park concept can work. Odie Donnie, when he was here, made a recommendation that we do a P3 partnership. Orangeburg County, South Carolina is in a P3 partnership with the Columbia, South Carolina YMCA. It's up to this commission what option we go with as far as who run it, you know, how it's built. We understand all that. But my problem is when I was here, well, I wasn't here, it was COVID in 2020, and we done everything, you know, with Zoom and emails, that the estimation, the estimated cost for doing this water park was approximately $5 million. Okay, we're 4 years down the road. Construction index costs without COVID inflation is approximately 4.5% a year. So that, you know, so we're looking at approximately 18-20% increase in what it would cost then and what it would cost now. There has been some talk, you know, about the location. We can work out locations later. The setting commission at the time can, but what we can't agree to is to not do a water park in that the citizens voted for the water park. And in special purpose local option sales tax 9, we're going to request a 20% increase from the $5 million, a 20% increase be plugged into the Splash 9 for the water park. I Love Augusta on behalf, and the cemetery committee is also making requests for funding for the cemeteries, capital outlay. Mr. Mayor and Commissioners, don't let folks trash talk your town, your government. We got to stand up to those naysayers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Todd. There's a few colleagues in the queue. Chair recognizes the Commissioner from the 5th, Commissioner Bobby Williams.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Todd, I agree with you that we need to go ahead and do the water park. And in fact, I was one of the main people who emphasized wanting a water park, and I want to put some money in this year's this splost to make sure that we get it done. I believe that if we're a town and we want to say we're one of the largest cities in Augusta, Georgia, then we need to act like it. We need to stop acting like we're one of the little small communities in Georgia. We need to start acting like we're a big dog. If we want to be a big dog, we need to growl hard, we need to bite hard, but we need to spend the money where the money needs to be spent. So I plan to ask for more money in this year's SPLOST to make this happen. There's no reason why we can't make it happen. I just want to let you know that you have support. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner from the 5th. Chair recognizes Commissioner from the 4th, Commissioner Alvin Mason.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Commissioner Todd, thank you for bringing that information or making those statements in reference to the water park. A couple of things, and I agree with pretty much everything that you said right there. And the water park concept is not a new concept. That was something that was brought up quite some time ago. But we've got to deal with the facts of the matter. Number one, $5 million, and I'm not sure why it was only $5 million, but $5 million would have never built a water park. That's the bottom line. And it won't build it today. So even asking 20% over $5 million is not going to be enough. So we're not going to ask for 20%. We're going to be asking for more than that so that we can get that done. Whether or not the government runs it by themselves or whether we do a private government partnership, private partnership with the government, or like you say, how they did in Orangeburg and as well as Columbia, South Carolina, that can be debated. But let me say very clearly, the location for this, the reason why it was voted on and passed was because it was supposed to be at Diamond Lakes Regional Park and not anywhere else. I'm hearing people talk about let's take it over to Regency Mall, let's take it here, let's take it there. Let me be very clear. The reason why, and there was a big push, especially for the people in District 4, 5, and 6, about the water park being in Diamond Lakes. Diamond Lakes borders, it's N4, my district, it borders 6, it borders 8, and it borders 10. And that's where the majority of the votes came for this water park, the Diamond Lakes Regional Park, and that's where it should go and nowhere else. I will not vote for it to go anywhere else. And so that's the plan. I've already spoke with about SPLOST 9. I've had some conversation already, as well as with SPLOST being in the Veterans Cemetery, so that we can get that going too. So both of those things that you mentioned are extremely important, and we do need to deal with those. But we also have to understand that we need operating and maintenance costs and be able to deal with that too. You just can't build it and not have a plan of how you're going to fund it moving forward. And so what I don't want to see, which is what's happening now, and I think that's what you were alluding to, everybody's going to splash in the borough. And so our tax dollars are going to support another city. And whereas we can do this right here in Augusta and have them come and support our city with their tax dollars. And that's how it actually should go. So you're 100% correct in what you're stating, and that is something that needs to happen. If I'm not mistaken, maybe our administrator can correct me if I'm wrong. I think the money set aside for the water park was due in 25 or either 26. So that's the reason why you haven't seen anything going on at this point. Let me make sure that I'm clear on that. Madam Administrator,
Your Honor.
Can you speak to that? When the funds were to be, what year monies it was supposed to be?
The exact time frame, no, but yes, it is in the later years. So I do think you're about correct,
Okay.
25 or 26.
All right, I didn't want to say anything in error, so that's where we're at right now at this particular point. And what we need to do between now and then is to determine the true price of what it would cost to build the water park at Diamond Lakes and the true cost of that, so that we're asking for the right amount in the next SPLOST, which would help assist us in doing that. Or if we're going out for a public-private partnership, then we know when we partner with someone what it is that we want or what we would need in order to make this happen expeditiously. So that's where we are in that sense, and I wanted to state that to you, and I certainly appreciate you bringing that up. But let's be very clear of where that water park was supposed to go, and that was South Augusta, but Diamond Lakes in particular. That would bring commercial and retail development out there, hotels and restaurants, which is what's needed. You can't build on the west anymore. Everybody's trying to build out in South Augusta, but we need to bring smart growth and the type of growth that we're looking for and the citizens out there, instead of just pushing certain things in our area. And that's one of the things that we would like to have so that we can get that commercial and retail development going. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner Mason. Chair recognizes Commissioner from the 7th, Commissioner Sean Franham.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I agree with everything of my colleague to my left. I would just say that when we put the SPLOST Package 8 together, it was for seed money. It wasn't that the city was going into the water park business, and I sit here and say that we shouldn't go in the water park business. We got land. We got $5 million seed money. I hope that we can get an RFQ or whatever it needs to get this process started, because I think we need to. And even because it's going to take a little bit of time if we're not going to get the money until 2025. But I would hope that over the next few months that's where the commission would go, because we got the money. We put it in there for purpose, and it's going nowhere but there, because that's what we said. And I was one of the leaders in that SPLOST, so I know. So look forward to seeing it come to fruition, because I do think it'll enhance the area, and I think that people in that area really need something like this to build it up. And so let's stop talking about going other places, and let's just get it done at Diamond Lakes. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Franham. Madam Administrator.
Thank you, Mayor Johnson. I found the revised timeline, and it does show that the water park funds would be received $1 million in 2023, $1 million in 24, 1.5 in both 25 and 26.
All right. Mr. Todd, thank you for being here, sir. Madam Clerk, I think that takes us to... Yes, sir. I see Commissioner from the 5th. Commissioner Williams, you have the floor, sir.
One other thing, I want to ask I'm not sure if it's appropriate for the administrator, but I want to ask, and then she can bounce it to whomever it needs to bounce to. But I think when we talked about building the water park, we talked about a private, public type of partnership. So, Ms. Administrator, give us your thoughts on that. where do we need to go with that? How's that going to go?
Madam Administrator.
Commissioner Williams, I do agree that a public-private partnership would be the best route for Augusta to go. This item has been added to our facility listing as a SPLOST priority that was determined by this body. Keep in mind, we will be having several work sessions upcoming regarding both infrastructure, underground, above ground, and our facilities. So I think that that would be a better time, especially considering we have now a interim central services director as well as a Parks and Recreation Department Director position that is unfilled. Both of those departments would be key in driving your wheels forward regarding a water park.
Okay, so I guess my question is, we're going to actually go out and ask for people to come in and help us with this, correct?
Yes, sir.
And if I'm not mistaken, you know, we may end up running it, but all according to the way the private partnership is done, they may end up running it, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Chair recognizes Commissioner from the 3rd, Commissioner Catherine McKnight.
Yeah, I just want to say I love water parks, and whatever happens, so be it. But here's what my concern with it is that when this is done, you know, we have splash pools, we have swimming pools that are not maintained, and people that aren't working or not able to be there, so they have shut them down. And also, we have to think about maintaining around that. So that's going to be where my concern is to making sure that the city keeps it up and makes sure that it's clean and chlorine's monitored. I know the Aquatic Center had problems there in the past. So if we're going to do this, let's make sure we do it right and take care of it, because I've seen a pattern where we haven't been able to take care of our parks and recs and pools. So that's going to be my concern. So I wanted to put that out there too when it comes to time for all this. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner McKnight. Madam Clerk, I think that takes us to the consent portion of our agenda. Are there, I see one
Yes, sir.
addendum item. Do you
Yes,
want to
sir,
address that
that
first?
you may want to consider it so that it can be considered along with the consent agenda
All right.
to receive it.
All right. Can you read that just for the record, Madam Clerk, what that is for the public?
Our addendum item is a motion to approve acceptance of an award of a GEMA grant for the Richmond County Sheriff's Office.
Is there any objection to adding this? Hearing or seeing none? It's added. All right. All right, Madam Clerk.
Okay. Our consent agenda consists of items 1 through 10, items 1 through 10. If there are any objectors to any of our Planning Commission items on our consent agenda, would you please raise your hand if you're in objection once the petition is read? Call your attention to item number 1. It's a request for concurrence with the Planning Commission to approve a rezoning from a zone R1A1 family residential to a zone B1 neighborhood business affecting property at 3333 Riceboro Road. Item number 2 is a request to approve a rezoning from a zone B1 neighborhood business and a zone B2 general business to a zone B2 general business affecting property located at 3120 Washington Road. Are there any objectors?
Any object to those items?
Item number 3 is a request for a rezoning from a zone R1A, one family residential, and a zone B1 neighborhood business to a zone B1 neighborhood business affecting property at 3306 McDuffie Road. Any objectors?
Raise hands.
All
Barton,
right,
Chapel,
we see
McDuffie.
Barbara and Tribeca Mendo. We have objectors, Madam Clerk. We need to count them all.
The attorneys.
One hand, please.
3.
14. Okay.
Okay.
Item number 4 is a request for concurrence with the Planning Commission to deny a petition requesting a rezoning from a zone R1C, one family residential, and an R1E, one family residential, to a zone R1E, one-family residential, affecting property located at 3745 and 3749 Old Waynesboro Road. Are there any objectors?
All right, I see one objector.
We have
I only see one. All right, Madam Administrator, you have the floor.
Mayor Johnson, the applicant has requested and the Planning and Development Department recommends that this item be sent back to the Planning Commission as the applicant would like to make proposed development changes based upon the comments that he's received.
You got it. So, Madam Clerk, item 4 has been recommended that it be taken back to committees.
Well, we could address that on consent agenda
Yes,
if
right.
you're going to receive that.
Okay, all right.
Okay. Item number 5, there's a misprint on our agenda. The caption should read, "A request for concurrence with the Augusta Planning Commission to approve requesting a rezoning from an R1C1 family residential to a zone light industry affecting property at 1775 Marvin Griffith Road." Are there any objectors?
See it? Yeah, number 5 is cheap.
It's number 5, 2417. It has the wrong caption. The correct caption, I'll read it once again.
Please.
Requesting a rezoning from a zone R1C, one family residential to a light industry affecting property at 1775 Marvin Griffin Road. You have the correct backup information
It was in the book?
in your agenda item.
Number 5. All right, let's see.
It's so, Mr. Mayor, and we have item number 6, rezoning one family residential, 1E, one family residential affecting property at 1140 Mary Street.
All right, that's number 6.
Any objectors, please?
Yeah, I see 2 objectors to 6.
Okay.
Madam Clerk, there's a question. Is 6 and 7, are those companion items?
I beg your pardon, sir?
6 and 7?
5 is the same thing that 8 says.
Yeah,
I'm not, they may be, they very well may be. Yes, the Planning Commission is in concurrence with that, Mr. Grant, Mr.
okay.
Garrett.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
All right, that's 6 and 7. Okay.
Item number 7. Okay, is a request to establish tiny home community affecting property at 1140 Mary Street, rezone R1E, one family residential. Are there any objectors?
I see 2, 3 object.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Let's go ahead and pull 6 and 7.
Well, we
We're
haven't gotten there yet, sir.
When we get to it, we're going to pull it. Just a second, Commissioner, for the 5th. Let's get through it and we'll pull it, okay?
Okay.
All right, let's continue.
Yes, sir. Okay.
All right, Madam Clerk.
Our consent agenda consists of items 1 through 10, with 14 objectors to item number 3, 1 objector to item number 4, 2 objectors to item number 6, and
What?
No. No outbursts. Madam Clerk, continue.
okay. And Mr. Mayor, just a reminder, you may
haven't
want to
done the-
consider this a grant agreement. It is not requesting the amount of $229,322, 43,000 feet, 315, 18,500, requiring no match of funds.
We already did that.
We've already addressed the addendum item without objection. We've already done this one.
No, I was wondering if you wanted to add it to the consent agenda.
Yes.
That's
yes.
what that information was for.
All right. So we got a lot of information here. All right, Chair recognizes Commissioner Al Mason from the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Excuse me? I don't know. I'm just going out.
Madam Clerk, wait a minute. There's a little confusion here. We did not read 8 is the same as 5. Item 9, is there, do we need to address item 9?
Well, we can, if you like.
Yeah, just provide some clarity because looking at, I know there's additional.
Special exception, yes, sir.
Yep.
Item number 9 is to amend the comprehensive zoning ordinance by amending section 26.1 to establish criteria for the granting of a special exception pertaining to low THC oil dispensaries pursuant to OCGA 1612-215A.
All right. All right. We clear, colleagues?
All right.
All right. Commissioner Al Mason, the floor is yours, sir.
All right, very good. I'd like to pull item number 3, please.
I got a bunch of that.
All right. Chair recognizes Commissioner from the 7th.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to pull agenda item number 2, number 4, back to committee.
Number 4 back to the Planning Commission.
That's correct. I'd like to add to consent number 16, 17, 18.
16, 17, 18.
I got you. 16, 17, 18, then 23, 24, 25,
23, 24, 25, okay.
26, 27, 28.
26, 27, and 28.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes Commissioner from the 1st, Commissioner Jordan Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ms. Bonner, I'd like to reschedule item number 19 for the next commission meeting.
Item 19, next commission.
Next full commission. Yes, ma'am.
19, you're going to 19 full and the next
Okay.
commission. Okay.
And I would also like to, oh, never mind. I'm sorry. That's enough.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Jordan Johnson. Chair recognizes Commissioner Bobby Williams.
Thank you. Well, I really don't know whether I'm going to vote for it or not or what have you, but I did tell some constituents that they would get their day in court, so to speak, so I'm going to pull 6 and 7 to be discussed.
6 and 7. We have a. All right. Chair recognizes Commissioner from the 10th, Commissioner Wayne Guilfoyle.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to consent agenda item number 22 if somebody doesn't have a problem with it.
22, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All right.
And
Seeing no.
I don't know if anybody's in
Objections?
favor of 20 and 21. There's been a lot of discussion on the floor about this over these past couple meetings, so throw it on consent and see if somebody pulls it off. Okay.
All right. So their objections to 20 and 21. So we can add those.
20 and 21, consent agenda item number 22.
Consent 22. Is there any objection to consent in 22? Any objection to seeing none? Let's move forward. All right. Chair recognizes
Okay.
Commissioner from the 7th.
Yeah,
This is the
20 and
key person.
21 are not on consent, just for clarity. I'd like to make a motion to approve as stated on the screen.
Second.
All right, Madam Clerk, we have a motion, and I heard Commissioner Brandon Garrett second first. Commissioner McKnight, you're in the queue. Is there something you want to add? No. All right. All right. All right. All right. Let's clean up. Madam Clerk, we're voting.
That motion carries with Ms. Pulliam out.
All right, Madam Clerk, we're going top to bottom. We're going to pull that's item number 2.
Number 11?
Number 2.
2?
Yep.
Okay. Item number 2 is a request for concurrence with the Planning Commission to approve a petition requesting a rezoning from a Zone B1 neighborhood business to a Zone B2 general business affecting property located at 3120 Washington Road.
All right. All right, sir, you have the floor.
Brian Kepner, Deputy Director, Planning and Development, Licensing and Planning. This application the property has split zoning, and the applicant is wanting to rezone the entire piece of property B2 for the purpose of a car wash.
All right, thank you so much. Chair recognizes Commissioner from the 7th, Commissioner Sean Franham.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I got a lot of concern from the neighborhood over there about the fact, a couple things. It's a 3-lane turn-in for the car wash, and then there's a business straight across from it with the same driveway, in a sense, at the same area. Why are we not allowing them to enter off Washington Road?
Well, there's my understanding is there is an existing entrance on Washington Road. However, they're proposing to close that off and use Woodland Road because of the distance of that access they have on Washington Road is extremely close to Woodland. And I do believe that transportation engineering would like to have that closed off of Washington Road.
But were they putting like a pork chop in or something in Washington Road or something? I mean, like what was the, I mean, they currently savvy shops there now. Like what was the reasoning of shutting it off to where more people have to go down Woodland?
Again, because of its close proximity to Woodland and people trying to come in and out of there and also people trying to come out of Woodland at the same time.
But we currently have a building that turns in off Washington Road is my question. Why are we changing up things?
Well, that certainly we could make that as a condition as to they don't do that. But the applicant is the one that proposed the actual closing off of that access on Washington Road.
It seems like we're creating more traffic on Woodland to where people can't turn in. And then I guess the way I looked at their design, maybe it wouldn't work based on their design. As far as like, because they're up on a hill, do the grading of the car wash have to come? Do they have to like grade it back down as being a car wash? I know it's self-contained and stuff like that, but because it's up on a hill, does that play any factor in what they're doing? Or is
that will play some factors with regards to when they do their site design and their construction onto the property as to where they're going to grade at what level.
Okay. And was there, Ms. Bonner, when we brought this, was there anybody in objection here?
No, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You got it. All right. Seeing no one else in the queue, we're going to call for a vote. And is there a motion to approve this? So there's a motion from Commissioner Jordan Johnson. Is there a second, Commissioner? There's a second from Commissioner Williams. Madam Clerk, we're voting.
That motion carries 8-1, with Mr. Franham voting no.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's move on. Item number 3.
Item number 3 is a request for concurrence requesting a rezoning from a Zone R1A1 family residential and a Zone B1 neighborhood business to a Zone B1 neighborhood business affecting property located at 3306 Old McDuffie Road.
Thank you, sir. You have the floor.
Again, this is a property that has 2 separate zonings on it. The applicant is wanting to rezone the entire piece of property to B1 for the purpose of a Dollar General market, which is basically mostly like a grocery store. It's just different than the actual Dollar General stores. And so that's what they were proposing. There are 6 conditions I can read with regards to the recommended approval, if you'd like.
Please, for the record, sir, please.
All right. The approval of the rezoning shall not constitute approval of the conceptual site plan presented with the application. Final approval of site plan in accordance with the comprehensive zoning ordinance is required prior to development. Number 2, the issuance of development permits shall be contingent upon submission of plans meeting engineering, environmental, and other pertinent development regulations to include the exterior product. Number 3, this product shall comply with all development standards and regulations set forth by the City of Augusta, Georgia at the time of development. And number 4, an ingress and egress point shall be provided along Old McDuffie Road with consultation from the Augusta Engineering Department. Number 5, a loading dock shall be situated at the rear of the building consistent with Augusta Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance Sections 4-4 and Section 4-5. And number 6, sidewalks shall traverse the perimeter of the property to include a tie-in at Old McDuffie and Barton Chapel Road.
Thank you, sir. Chair recognizes Commissioner Alvin Mason from the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, there's a number of people here I think we've identified that are in objection to that. And so before I even get started with anything, if there's a spokesman for the group, they can certainly, Mr. Mayor, if that's okay with you, to come on up to the podium and speak to the agenda item?
Yes, sir, that would be appropriate. Sir, if you don't mind, come to this podium right here. Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Charles Carson, 2426 Barton Chapel Road. On this matter, it's just a small area up there. We have enough grocery stores in that same area. Every time we look around, someone is coming up there, want to build something, but the land is so small, and you got all that wood line back there, you're going to be in somebody's backyard. We cannot sit around and let somebody just come up there and continue to try to build something up there. We have enough grocery stores up there. We have service stations up there. Look at the traffic now. The traffic is so bad right now as I speak, trying to get out of our community, which is so small, you have to wait at least about 20 minutes because ain't nobody gonna stop on that road when the traffic light stop you. You still gonna have to wait because the traffic light changes just like that, and you got all that traffic. Those big old trucks and things that gonna come down in there, they gonna tear that little road up. Loading docks, I'd like to find out how in the world they're gonna turn around up there.
Thank you, sir.
Bottom line, we do not need another grocery store up there in that area. We have enough of them out there already. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is the applicant here? Is anybody representing the applicant? All right, sir, for the record, please state your name and address.
Good afternoon. My name is Holton Brinson, 3510 Wheeler Road, Augusta, Georgia, 30906. I'm here on behalf of Trotter General to represent the developer in this project. I think for the most part, we've got a good understanding of the project. It's different than your typical Dollar General. This is a DG market. It's a new concept which they've created to offer more grocery items. It's a cleaner, larger store format, more coolers. It's got its typical array of items, but in addition to that is additional produce, meats, and so while the other Dollar General stores kind of can be a one-stop, if you forgot your bread or some detergent or something, this is a little bit, should fill more needs. Understand the concerns about traffic, and part of the conditions that have been put on us are because of that. We've spoken with John Ushery about our driveway separation from Old McDuffie and are certainly, not trying to ask for a variance from anything that's in the ordinance at this point. We still are in the early stages, but right now we're meeting all the code requirements.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Mason, you have the floor, sir.
Yes, all right. Now, having said that, let me make a qualifying statement. Number one, I'm not anti-growth, and I'm not anti-business by any stretch of the imagination. There's a number of areas, I will say this too, within our city that would practically give their life for a grocery store or something similar to a grocery store, first and foremost. So I really want people to consider that and not just a regular Dollar General. That's very important to note. However, I will say this, and this is my concern about anything that would go there. It sounds good that they meet the requirements and all these variances and this and that, but unless you're out there, live out there, travel that road on a daily or routine basis, you wouldn't know how difficult it is to get through. That's a commuter road from Deansbridge up to Gordon Highway or Gordon Highway to Deansbridge, then the side road Glen Hills, which has Glen Hills High, Glen Hills Middle, Glen Hills Elementary, and they use Barton Chapel to come and funnel their way into those schools as well, and then they leave those schools and use Barton Chapel to come out and go in one direction or the other. We just placed a new apartment housing complex, MacArthur Park, with some 300 plus new residents. In the last 3 to 4 years, we've built over 200 homes, I think it's 200 or so homes, off of Milledgeville Road, or somewhere close. It's supposed to be that by the time it's all finished. That has added more traffic to the equation. A Parker's will be coming up soon, not too far. The Sprint has expanded. They put a car wash next to the Sprint. I mean, I can go on and on and on. I brought traffic and engineering out. I brought the director of engineering out so he could see exactly what was going on. We also had a death on that same street, mostly because the lighting was not there. So not only is it a 2-lane road, but it's dark. I challenge anybody to go down that road at 8, 9 o'clock at night, or 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and see how pitch black it is. I think security would be better if we put some lights out there. Maybe we wouldn't have that much crime. You can't see what people are doing. They're doing all kind of stuff. And I would hate to see that for your business, number one. That's first and foremost. But that little 2-lane road, with all the traffic that's already there and the proposed new businesses, and there's several apartment complexes outside of Gate 5 Fort Gordon, which is just down from Barton Chapel. This is a lot of traffic in a very, very small area. And I don't think that that's been considered properly. And that has brought great stress already, without that even being there, to the neighbors in that neighborhood. There's no question about it, and that's the reason why they're here today. If that road was widened the way it should be and have the proper access and the proper traffic lights, then I wouldn't have any issue with that. Because listen, a grocery store, anything resembling a grocery store coming to a neighborhood, in my mind, is a good thing. That's in my mind, because I know how we are in food. We talk about food deserts all the time up here, and especially in certain parts of the city, we talk about food deserts. And here's an opportunity that's to kind of help alleviate that. So it's like half a dozen of one, 6 of another, in terms of which way you want to go. But my focus and my responsibility is to my constituents, period,
Yes,
at the end of the day. So I need for you to understand that. Not anti-business, not anti-growth. But until that traffic pattern can be taken care of more properly, and what you have in there and the variances, that is not dealing with the traffic the way it needs to deal with. It sounds good, but if you don't live over there, if you don't drive over there, if you don't frequent that area, it all sounds good. You come out one time, do an evaluation, and go back in, sounds great. But what about the people who live there, who've invested their monies into their homes and that sort of thing, okay? We've got to take all of that into consideration. We can't look at this thing in tunnel vision. We've got to look at it in a bigger picture. So for that reason, and that reason alone, at this particular time, I'm going to make a motion for denial.
All right, thank you, Commissioner from the 4th. Madam Clerk, there's a motion to deny from the Commissioner from the 4th, and a second from Commissioner from the 9th, Commissioner Francine Scott. All right, we're going to continue through the queue. Commissioner Scott, you're still in the queue. Would you like to add something?
Yes, I would just like to say, Commissioner Mason and I have been working to get lightings, and in fact, I think we're at a design space right now trying to get some lighting in that area. And at this point, I would not support this because I don't think it's ready for prime time. We listened to I see Ms. Pulliam out there. She's out here all the time about the same traffic. The you can't get out your driveway. You can't get out of the community. So at this time, I just don't think it's a good fit right now. I think if you come back with some planning, I think we need to get with the community to see how we can actually make this happen. But right now, this is something that I cannot support.
Sure. Do you mind if could I say a couple more words?
Yes, sir.
In response to that?
Yes, sir. Very briefly.
From our discussions with the city, it sounds like there's a plan to make some changes to Barton Chapel Road. We've been asked to design our driveway to take that into account, so when those changes are done, where our project will fit seamlessly with the new layout. In addition, we've already agreed to do the sidewalks. The safety and the pedestrian traffic there was a concern at the Planning Commission, and we certainly don't oppose adding some sidewalks down Old McDuffie to tie our site in better for the pedestrian traffic. And so while I totally understand the safety concern and traffic concern, that to me seems like a Barton Chapel Road issue and not a zoning issue. We're trying to get the zoning to be one zone instead of a split zoned.
Thank you, sir. All right, Chair recognizes Commissioner from the 1st, Commissioner Jordan Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to submit this just for the conversation, is that District 1 has been a food desert since 2013. Gurley's closed on Laney Walker Boulevard, and Kroger closed shortly after that. In December 2023, we signed an MOU with the grocer to open up a grocery store on Laney Walker Boulevard. So we're finally getting there. But I want to submit that if this item fails for Old McDuffie Road, you ought to give me a phone call.
Yeah.
Because I know some
we
places
did
in
a store
District
on
1 that'll
MLK
take
Boulevard that was a different type of prototype. But
Well, let's talk about it. Now,
yeah,
I won't give my life for it, but I'll definitely give some time to talk to you about how to bring it to District 1.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Johnson. Madam Clerk, there's been a motion and a second for denial of this this item. Let's vote. Please, no outbursts from the public, please. Thank you. That was a substitute. Yes, sir.
Is this
Commissioner Mason, would you repeat your substitute motion, please?
Well, substitute motion, what do you mean?
Well, repeat your motion to deny.
Yeah, there's only one motion
There's
on the
only
table
one
as far as I'm.
Yeah, it is. It's item 4.
Right, it's a motion to deny this.
No, it's item 3. I'm sorry.
Item 3, it says a request for concurrence, and I'm saying a motion to deny that
Motion
request
to
for
deny the
concurrence.
request. Yep. So there's a motion to
Right?
deny the. Yes, you're correct, sir. So there's a motion and a second to deny this action to prevent.
That motion carries 7-2 with Mr. Franum and Mr. Garrett voting no.
All right. Thank you, sir, for being here. Madam Clerk, I think that takes us to item 4.
So can I get some clarity just for 1 second, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
So for those that are out there in the audience from the Barton area, that means it's not going to happen at this time. So it's been denied. Okay?
All right.
Just make sure you all are clear from the Barton Chapel, Old McDuffie. It has been denied.
All right. All right. All right, Madam Clerk, item 4.
Item 4 is a request to deny a petition requesting a rezoning from a zone R1C1 family residential and a R1E1 family residential to a zone R1E.
We sent this back to committee.
That's right. I'm sorry.
4 went back to committee.
4, you're correct. My apologies, Madam Clerk. We're at item 6.
Item 6 is a request to approve requesting a rezoning from a zone R1C1 family residential to a zone R1E1 family residential, affecting property located at 1140 Mary Street. We had 2 objectors.
Two objectors. All right. I think we're doing these as companions. Can you read number 7 in for the record too, please, Madam Clerk?
Number 7 as companion.
Yes.
Item 7 is a request for a special exception.
All right. Please exit the chambers, please.
Okay. Item 7 is a special exception requesting establishment of a tiny home community on property located at 1140 Mary Street, Zone R1E1 Family Residential.
All right. Floor is yours, sir.
This application, as you know, they're companion. The property would have to be rezoned to R1E in order for the special exception to be approved. So you have the rezoning to R1E. This is for the purpose of a tiny home community of 25 small tiny homes. They're built in phases. There would be 10 on the first phase and 15 on the second phase. The Bridge Builders community they're basically trying to take young adults that are transitioning out of foster care and placing them in this tiny home community. There will be a community center and an on-resident consultant, The only condition of approval was that the rezoning request does not, approval of the rezoning request does not constitute approval of the conceptual site plan submitted with the rezoning application, and the proposed development shall obtain site plan approval in compliance with site plan regulations of Augusta, Georgia, prior to construction commencing on the property.
All right, thank you, sir. Chair recognizes Commissioner from the 5th, Commissioner Bobby Williams.
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, I just had some folks that called me, and I told them that they would pretty much get their day in court, so I don't really want to speak on it. I'd rather we call up a couple of people who are here who are objectors to allow them to speak as to why they object to the building of the tiny homes, please. So if we have someone who would like to speak, I'd like for them to come up, sir.
All right. All right, sir. Here's the objective. Sir, if you will, for the record, please state your name and address.
My name is Michael Thurman. I live at 1913 Wrightsboro Road, and I own many properties in the area of this tiny home transition center that they're discussing building. I want to make it for the record that there may only be a few people here, but we were 12 strong at the last meeting, and I've got a petition here of 33 names, all who live in the neighborhood, who are against it. At the previous meeting, only 2 from the neighborhood showed up for it. I think the neighbors feel like they weren't being heard at the last one because I had to ask multiple times just to find out how many who were in attendance were actually in the neighborhood, because they had 34, but most of them were Columbia County residents or people nowhere in that area. But anyway, the idea for the children aging out is a wonderful idea. I think it's just a bad place, because in giving them the park land, which is the only park for quite a ways around there, is going to take away from the neighborhood. And I've had discussions with multiple commissioners, and I've explained that, yes, it has been underutilized, but once it is gone, it is gone. It cannot be utilized. One of the main reasons for it being underutilized was the building that's there had a roof that was caving in. It has since been replaced. And the Parks and Recreation has been notorious for letting things go over the last 15 years. You can change that very easily. I actually put some basketball goals on the property only to have them removed by Parks and Recreation a few years back, because it wasn't something the city did, and they weren't going to allow private individuals to set stuff like that up. There is definitely some issues with the fact that you're going to be having 300 new apartments built there. So that's probably going to be 600 or more children that will be within a block of this area who could have a park that they could play in safely. There's a baseball diamond there, could be used for kickball and several things like that. So you're going to be keeping those people from being able to use this as well. The nearest grocery store is 2.2 miles away, so they would have to use a bus. The closest bus line is 4 blocks to the north with no sidewalks. So they were saying during the last meeting that most of these people will be using the bus system. There's no sidewalks, so they'll have to walk in the middle of the street. It's 8 blocks in the other direction to catch a bus. I just don't feel that it's very good there. Again, there was a neighborhood a few years ago, Green Meadows, that have a very nice nunnery at the back of their neighborhood that you turned down because the neighbors were against it. Unfortunately, most of the neighbors in this area are older or working and aren't able to come at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon to come and speak to you. They did it. 12 of them did show up at the last meeting. And again, I have a list of 33 here that are standing with me as well. There's also other places. The Weed School is owned by the land bank, because one thing I want to make clear is the agreement was that this was given to this group, and if it doesn't pass, then it goes back to the city.
Stay on topic regarding this matter, okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
So there's other places that can be built. The Weed School is one. Green Meadows is another. It's already a building built there. Laney Walker has many empty lots, sidewalks, and is very good infrastructure there for something of this magnitude. We just need to realize that this can be done, and we can help these children without taking this park that has been used by generations. Commissioner McKnight, I bet your father played baseball at the ball diamond there. Anybody that grew up in that area would have done that, because that was one of the main fields for many years. So we really need to keep this, and I'm happy to answer any questions anyone might have.
All right, thank you, sir. Before we have you up, we got to have the applicant up as well. And so is there anybody here to represent this project? Sure, sure. Let me ask you, Commissioner from the 10th, Commissioner Garrett would like to ask a question to Parks and Rec. Would you like to have the floor now? Would you?
I'll wait.
You wait? All right.
Commissioner Garrett.
Commissioner Garrett has a question for Parks and Recreation.
Thank you, Mayor. Is Mr. Jackson or anybody here that's able to speak towards this part? In reference to the park that we're discussing here, when is the last time that this park has actually been utilized as a park? I know that it's been kind of sitting vacant for quite some time.
Commissioner, I don't have the answer for that, but I can provide that to you via email by close of business today.
All right. Administrator, you want to chime in on that?
Sure.
Commissioner, I can assist. The park was transferred to the land bank about 3 years ago. And so it has not been maintained by Parks and Recreation since that time.
And the reason for the transfer?
Because the facility, Mary Street Ceramics, was housed there. They were relocated due to issues with the facility as well as a lack of use.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
All right. Applicant, please come forward, please. For the record, please state your name and address.
Hi, my name is Joe Gamble. I live at 1159 West O Street, North Augusta.
You have the floor, sir.
Again, my name is Joe Gamble. I am the chair of the board for Bridge Builder Communities. I'm also an architect here in town. We have a very comprehensive plan for this particular site where we are going to put 25 tiny houses on it, a community building. There'll be a manager's cottage. There's going to be a maintenance area on it as well. We're very sensitive to creating a residential type of environment for the youth that are aging out of foster care. We want to be great neighbors there. I want to throw a couple of facts and figures at you. You know, if you look at our tiny homes, tiny homes are thought of a number of ways. If you watch HGTV, you'll see the things that are on wheels and you have to move the dining room table out of the way to make the bed. That is not what we're talking about here. We are talking about slab on grade, permanent homes that happen to be small. They're 16 feet by 20 feet, 320 square feet each. That computes to a size that's about 1.5 car garage. It's the perfect size for these young adults to come learn how to handle living on their own. There would be one resident per house. There is somebody that stays on site all the time. We have a cottage for that person. They're there 24/7. So if something happens off hours, it can be addressed. We also have some security partners, I want you to know. That's both in terms of electronics as well as staff. Pollux have offered to donate some security equipment, so that's our electronic issue. We also have a manpower company. If I said the name, you'd recognize it, but we need ink finalized on that agreement before I'm able to say that name. So we will also have security on site. I think it's important to know that we're keeping the zoning single-family residential. We are going from a R1C to an R1E. Our buildings are going to be 1 story in height, very good quality materials. They're going to look like new construction that we see across the area. When you look at our building density, if you add up all the square footage of the buildings that we're building on site, we're only using 6% of the site for buildings. And I want to share that with you because I think it's awfully important that we're maintaining a residential vibe in this neighborhood. We are not coming in and building an apartment complex in the middle of an existing residential area. I think it's also interesting to talk about a population density. The average lot in that area is 0.2 acres. And if you think that there might be 4 people in a house on that 0.2 acres, you do a little bit of math, that's going to come up with 20 people per acre. By contrast, when we have all 25 units occupied, we're only going to have 8 people per acre. So we're making a very light footprint on this area. I can talk to you about a lot of specifics about program or architecture or anything that you need, but I wanted to share these key points with you, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, sir. Chair recognizes Commissioner Wayne Gill, 4 from the 10th.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Gamble, how many of these projects have you done before?
We've not done any tiny house communities before.
Okay. Have you reached out to, I looked at the GIS map yesterday, and where the park was, there's something like 25, 30 backyard fences that abuts the property. Have you reached out to the neighbors? Have you had community meetings with them to let them be aware of what was transforming in that area?
Yes, sir, we've certainly tried. We have canvassed the area on foot. We have our first opportunity to do that was we created a community gathering. We brought in food. We brought in our partners that would be offering services, because some of those services we'd like to offer to the community as well. Well, we had information tables. We did this on a Saturday. We had bounce houses and clogging, and we had a lot of food, a lot of things there. Since that time, we have canvassed the neighborhood again on foot and talked with a lot of people.
Okay. What's your anticipated cost of this project, sir?
$3 million, sir.
And do you have that 100%?
No, sir, we don't. We have approximately a third of it. We are ready to build the first wave of 10 tiny houses. We are in fundraising right now. Honestly, I think today's meeting and approval of the land is going to be that mark in time that kicks us over the edge.
Okay. Mr. Gamble, with this being your first project, it's a good venture. Is going to help out the children, no doubt, young adults, shall I say. What happens if this project goes south? I know that you had to look at it from all different aspects. You're a very educated man. What's your exit plan if there is one?
We looked across the country at places that were doing this, and the one company that really stood out above all others was a group in Oklahoma City called Pivot, P-I-V-O-T. And so you can check them out online, pivot.com. It's a 50-year organization, does a lot of work in the foster care arena. They have recently created a tiny home community for this demographic. They started with 3, they bumped it to 25, now they're constructing up to 85. They have been a great strategic partner in this. This would be the first tiny house community in Augusta. So this, again, will be the first one. In terms of failure, well, we don't anticipate failure at all. We think that there is a huge need for this. We anticipate that will be full. When you look at our financial documents, we're not hanging on by a fingernail. Once we get operational, we are cash flow positive from that point moving forward.
Okay. As far as security to keep unwanted from coming in and the protection of the neighborhood, what's there will be in place?
Yes, sir. There would be fencing around the entire property. The fencing around the sides and the rear would be 6-foot fencing. Let's call it a privacy type of fencing.
Okay.
That is in compliance with the regulations. We're limited to 4 feet in the front, We would have a 4-foot buffer there as well. You will not be able to come on the property unless you're coming through our community center and greeted by our staff, or have, in essence, key card access if you're a resident to get on the property. Again, we have electronic and person surveillance, as well as a caretaker on site.
Mr. Gamble, I appreciate you answering my question, sir. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Guilfoyle. Chair recognizes Commissioner Brandon Garrett from the 8th.
Thank you, Mayor. Question for Mr. Gamble. So in regard to the property, I know that this is a transfer through the land bank. Are you purchasing the property through the land bank, or is this a donation from, how is this working?
We paid $1 for the land through the land bank.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Garrett. Commissioner Bobby Williams from the 5th. You have the floor, sir.
Yes, sir. I make a motion that we approve this.
Second.
All right, there's a motion and there's a second. And Madam Clerk, before we vote, CBS Sunday Morning did a wonderful story on Pivot in Oklahoma City and how they have transformed the lives of many young people because of this program. I think it'll benefit Augusta. We have some great stakeholders, some great home builders that are contributing not only dollars but also their time and effort towards this. And I think this is in the best interest of the community. So with that being said, we're ready to vote.
That motion carries with Mr. Mason out.
All right. Congratulations. Thank you, guys. Yep, do great work for the neighborhood.
Mr.
All
Mayor?
right, Madam Clerk, we're going to suspend for just a minute to allow some of these
Mr.
folks
Mayor?
to leave. Yes.
We'll also need a motion to approve the special exception.
Your companions.
There you go. You did him.
Sir?
Companion.
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay.
All right. We'll suspend for just a minute here. Ladies and gentlemen, if you would move from the chamber so that we can continue our meeting. We still have a little business to conduct here. Hello. Keep it moving. They say you want present, sir. All right. Let's move. If you will, if you have a conversation, please remove yourselves from the chamber. Should be at number 11. All right. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, please exit the chambers and continue any conversations outside. Thank you so much. All right, Madam Clerk. Let's move on.
Call your attention to item number 11. Begin planning process for downtown entertainment district. Commissioner Johnson and Franham.
Number 11, I thought, no, he didn't. He didn't move it. He didn't move 11. All right. Chair recognizes the commissioner from the 1st, Commissioner Jordan Johnson. You're up first.
We just make a motion that you, that ain't nothing, just planning.
That's my item. I got it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We are. So we've had some conversations over the last 2 years about creating an entertainment district in downtown Augusta. And we feel like after the research that has been done through the DDA and other agencies, that now we're at a pretty good point. We think it's the perfect time to start implementing some of these ideas. And so I've been working with Commissioner Franham on this one, and we want to get the commission's authorization to begin the planning process so that we can bring back recommendations to this body about what an entertainment district could look like in Augusta. That also includes potential work at our depot. So we want to make sure that we bring the right people in to have these conversations so that we can come back to the commission with recommendations to move forward. And I'll pass it to, I'll make that as in the form of a motion. But I'll also pass it to Commissioner Franham for some remarks.
Commissioner Franham.
Yeah, second it. Thank you, Commissioner Johnson. Yeah, I'm excited about this. When we brought this up 6 years ago, probably, but I think now we're at a critical time. I want to thank the DDA for their initial work on it, as well as the CVB. But I think it's important that we all have some stakeholders at the table, obviously, as we go through this process. And I think as we open the James Brown Arena in 2027, I envision that we create a zone that's probably around 5th to 13th, Broad, the river to Broad, and then somewhat of a sliver 7th and 8th going towards the James Brown Arena, because we need to create more synergies around this community. We need to support those businesses and restaurants that made it through a pandemic, as well as look at food truck alleys and things of that nature. And I think this is a perfect time to do this, and I'm excited to move this forward. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Commissioner Johnson, did you have anything additional?
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem. I need to make sure that we task the administrator to have the appropriate staff at the table. So that would include the planning department. We'll have representatives from the sheriff's office at the table. But because this is an item on the commission's agenda, we need to give some type of direction. So we'll have the administrator at the table as well, but we'll just charge the administrator with getting the proper city staff at the table as well.
All right, hearing a motion and a proper second. Ms. Bonner, I think we're ready to vote.
Yes, sir. You second that, right? Oh, Random did? Oh, okay. It's unanimous.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Mr. Kemper.
All right, sir. Item 12.
This is an alcohol license, AN 24-14. It's a new location by Mr. Patel. It's for a retail package, liquor, beer, and wine, located at 3107 Deansbridge Road. The Planning Department and Sheriff's Office has recommended approval. Is the applicant here?
Sir, for the record, please state your name and address, please.
Hi, my name is Shivam Patel, and the address 1022 Barrett Drive, Evans, Georgia 30809.
Thank you so much.
Motion to approve.
Mr. Kemper, did we ask if there were any objectors?
Oh, I didn't. I'm sorry.
Well,
Yeah.
got an objector. All right. All right. All right. We got an objector. All right, sir. If you will, you got it. Please. For the record, you need your name and address.
Mayor, Commissioners, my name is Lucas Johnson. I live at 2725 Lumpkin Road, which is about half a mile away from this proposed liquor store. I've come before to be against this liquor store when it was during planning and zoning. The commission and mayor and many other people talk about we want good growth and good businesses for our city, but yet we continue to approve liquor stores on every corner. There's one about a mile north and a mile south on Highway 1. Liquor stores historically bring undesirable activity, and I ask that you please consider preserving the integrity of our neighborhood and denying this application. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. So we have an objector. All right.
Mr. Mayor, can we get those motions? There was a little unrest. I heard Ms. McKnight second. Who?
I seconded first.
You were first. Mr. Franham.
Commissioner Franham. Commissioner McKnight.
I was there.
Okay.
All right.
voting, sir?
Chair recognizes Commissioner from the 7th, Commissioner Sean Frown. You still in the queue? You got a queue? All right. So we have a motion, proper second, and we've heard from the applicant as well as the objector. Madam Clerk, we're prepared to vote.
That motion carries 8-1, with Mr. Garrett voting no.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's move on to the next item.
Mr. Kemper.
13.
Okay. This is AN 24-15. This is an existing location. The applicant is Florence Henley. She's requesting to reinstate her liquor, beer, and wine consumption on premises located at 828 Broad Street. The Planning and Development Department and Sheriff's Office has recommended approval. Are there any objectors?
Any objectives to this item? Seeing none?
Motion to approve. Sorry.
All right, man, we got an applicant.
And
All right, sir, for the record.
the applicant is ill, and this is the registered agent, Mr. Lewis.
Mr. Lewis, if you will, for the record, please state your name and address, please.
My name is Alpha Lewis, address 828 Broad Street.
All right, my question is, this is a quick question. Why reason for reinstatement? Is there any particular reason?
Because the ordinance, if it lapses for a certain period of time, they have to reapply.
All right. Okay. Is there a proper motion? There's a motion. Is there a second? Second. There's a second from Commissioner from the first. Colleagues, we're voting.
Ms. Skillful? Yes, ma'am. Okay. It's unanimous.
All right, thank you. All right, number 14.
Next is AN 24-16. This is a new ownership of an existing location of Pick and Pay. The applicant is Mr. Sayani. It's located at 2618 Peach Orchard Road. The Planning and Development and Sheriff's Department has recommended approval. Are there any objectors?
Any objectors? Seeing none, is the applicant here? Ma'am, if you will, for the record, please state your name and address.
Candace Bonner, 1816 Rhonda Drive, Augusta 30906.
Thank you. All right, is there a motion to approve this?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. There's a motion and a second. Colleagues, we're voting.
It's unanimous.
All right, that takes us to item number 15, sir.
AN 24-17. This is a new location. Applicant is Saeed Hassan. This is a retail packaged beer and wine located at 2601 Deanbridge Road. Planning and Development and Sheriff's Department has recommended approval. Are there any objectors?
Are there any objectors to this matter? Seeing none, let's continue. Is the applicant here?
The applicant? This is the applicant is ill, or no, I'm sorry. The applicant wasn't able to get childcare, and so this is the store manager representing.
Okay. All right, sir, for the record, please state your name and address.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Sivam Pandey, and I'm from 2601 Deanbridge Road, District 209.
That's the location of the store. I'm asking for a personal address from one of my colleagues.
2601 Deanbridge Road.
Where you live. That's the address of the store, your address.
I'm 2900 Brookside Run, Snellville, Georgia, Augusta.
Thank you. All right. Is there a motion to approve this? So motion and a second from the commissioner from the 5th and commissioner from the 1st. We're voting, Madam Clerk.
It's unanimous.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's continue. I think that takes us to item 20.
Item 20.
Yep.
Item 20, motion to approve price proposal option B not to exceed the grade of 2.5% of total ESCO sale price or minimum $250,000 for IBA Consulting Engineering doing business as MV5 Consultants.
All right, I see, Madam Administrator.
Thank you, Mayor Johnson. I apologize, but if you don't mind, can you take item number 21 ahead of item number 20, please?
Certainly can.
Thank you.
All right. Madam Clerk, can you read 21 into the record for us, please?
Sure. Item number 21 is to approve Phase 2 audit of the city-county building by Train as it relates to the Augusta-Richmond County Energy Savings PAC project. In addition, approve payments of $398,000 to Train for Phase 2 audit.
All right. Chair recognizes Commissioner from the 5th, Commissioner Bobby Williams.
Yes, sir. Before I get to talking and saying things, can we get Miss Sams up, and can we get her point of view on this, please?
Yes, sir.
I forgot your name. I'm sorry. I'm over 50.
No one would ever know. Just before we get started, I would like to give each of you some information that will support.
Ms. Sams, can I get you to speak up?
Yeah,
Just
Just before getting started, does that work, Ms. Mana?
That's better. That's much better.
Just before getting started, I'd like to give each of you some information that will support what my conversation with you will be about today. The documents that's located in this book, the reason I find that it's very important that you get an opportunity to look at it, one is because it was submitted with the original document, and two, I'm only exhibiting information that the city has in its possession. And if there are questions at the end, I'm asking you to be very careful of what your questions are, because what we're going to have before you is a very, very, very serious situation. So let me thank you for allowing me to come forward and giving you some of the findings that the procurement office has come across over the last 3 weeks. There were 2 meetings held in the procurement department, one on April the 3rd at 11 o'clock, with the principal objective of conducting a comprehensive assessment of the information pertinent to the proposed audit. Key stockholders were present. They included the vendor, our technical advisor, the interim city central service director, and members of the procurement department. And of course, this section played a pivotal role in the groundwork and assessment of what your directive was to me earlier. From that meeting, we walked away with several questions, several concerns. So consequently, there was a second meeting of which we invited our representatives from the administrator's office, our technical advisor, finance department, and members of the procurement department. Every effort has been done to make sure that the information I am going to present to you today will withstand any challenges. May be a little disappointing to some of us, but these are things that you need to know before you proceed in considering the agenda item that was brought before you. This audit, which has been referred as Phase 2, it's not technically a Phase 2 project. All during this process, in the original contract, the original RFQ that was submitted, there were 3 phases given to us. Ms. Daly.
Who?
I'm sorry, Natasha. She got it? Okay.
There we go. All right.
Okay, and before you are those 3 phases. A lot of discussion has been made about the various phases. There you have it. That's in your contractual agreement. And you can find that as Exhibit 1 on page 7 of your handout that you have today. Now, Exhibit 2A in your document on pages 4, 5, and 6, you find an audit list of all of the audits conducted on all the buildings in Augusta. Exhibit B in your handout shows a listing of all the two new audits that was attached to your agenda item. I've taken the time to compare the original buildings that were a part of that audit and also the buildings listed in your agenda items. And this is what the findings were. You'll find that as Exhibit 3. I'm sorry, Exhibit C.
If you will, come make sure you speak into the mic. So we
Okay,
have
you
our
will
record.
find
Thank
that
you.
as Exhibit C in your book. And there you will find something very important. There you will find, of the 2 audits that were proposed, of them, 48 locations are in the new audit. An estimated 38 of them were already included. So everything in yellow was a part of those 2 audits. Everything that has not been highlighted were the things that you were asked to approve, and I don't see how that is possible. Something else I found to be very interesting. There were so many unanswered questions at the meetings that we had. And I still today very concerned because the questions were not addressed. And I again dug a little deeper into the contract because when you have a contract document, words matter. In the contractual document, that was, we identified Charles Webster Detention Center. That would be your Exhibit 3A. And in 3A, because it's so thick, I can't put it up here, but it's in your book, we talk about the upgrades. So I said, okay, we're upgrading that. Let me just dig a little deeper. Exhibit 3B of the paperwork afforded me an opportunity to look at the differences in the scope from the original contract to where we are. And I felt like, okay, what's going on there? And I found some disconnects as it relates to the City of Augusta's procurement process. I found some disconnects as it relates to the work that was going to be performed. So that led me to the Georgia statute. The Georgia statute states that projects cannot exceed 15% of your original cost. But for this one project that was listed on that sheet, it was 24% over that that first amount that was given contractually. 24%. So let me just share something with you from Georgia statute. In your book, you will find Exhibit 4 on pages 4 that really outlines for you up under their statute. It outlines what the energy performance contract should look like. And it later defines that you can only exceed 15%, as I stated earlier, of the guaranteed saving performance contract. You will find that information on page 6 that I'm going to share with you. And it states, the total value of the improvement should not exceed 15% of the total value of the guaranteed energy savings performance contract. When talking to the financial persons from the city of Augusta, they gave me an estimate cost of about $14 million, outside of the $23 million that you've already paid on the $25 million contract. Not real clear if your initial advance was included in that $25 million. Then I went a little further. I went to Exhibit 5. Exhibit 5 was a note from our representative, our consultant. The consultant noted, if you look at Exhibit 5, page 1, oh, sorry, I'm talking so fast. Okay, if you look at page 2, thank you. Our very own consultant that we paid to look at this contract, when an agenda item was given to you about 3 weeks ago, that agenda item went to our consultant. That consultant responded as follows. Everything in red on page 2, where he changed the word from may to shall. Words are important when it comes to contracting. Contracting is absolute. So that's why he changed the word from may to shall, to hold some accountability to our contractor. And it does not lead for anybody to make a mistake in saying, well, I could do it this way, I could do it that way. Shall means what it is. You shall do it this way. So he said, change it. If you turn to page 3 of the exhibit, I found our consultant interjected his findings. And I won't read it to you. 2 important, very important statements are on this page that we need to be concerned about. And that is the comment from our consultant, which states, this language was removed as the project is not, capital words, letters, guaranteed to be self-funding. Well, our contract said that this was a guarantee. So how did our consultant say it's not self-funding? Then he goes on, another very important statement is at the bottom of that page. And that's why I'm here today. He states, standard procurement language missing. He sent that to Augusta, Georgia, to our contract person, and guess what? In your agenda item, none of these corrections were made or addressed. That insults me. Because here you are getting ready to approve something, one, your stakeholders had not seen, being finance, the law department, the procurement department, and the information that we paid a consultant to review went ignored. And we're talking about a 25+ million contract and a possible 14 additional million dollars. And I asked the question, gentlemen and ladies, I asked the question in our meeting, can anybody give me some knowledge or anything of where my money has been spent and what my money has been spent on thus far? My answer was, well, not really. We'll get that to you after the construction phase. Well, Jerry Sams said, but you just replaced all the lights in this building. Could I simply get the difference of where we were prior to you changing out the lights and where we are today? Simple math. No. And I sat there and I said how simple that would have been. I've already paid you $20+ million. I can't get not one building, not one. And it was at that point that I said, gentlemen, I'm not happy. And my report to the commissioner will not be one that you are going to like. I went further.
All right, come on with it.
I'm coming. I'm coming, Mr. Mayor. And I'm glad you are giving me the opportunity to do so. Today, I have attached to your, well, the administrator attached, sent an email out to you. I said, okay, let me look at your references when you submitted everything to the procurement department in Augusta, because that's what I need to talk about. I said, I'm going back and check your references. And why did I do that? I found where the reference submitted to Augusta Richmond County under the city of Birmingham, a lawsuit where the city of Birmingham.
Madam, hold just one second
Yes, sir.
while we get.
And this is public knowledge,
all right,
public information, sir.
Just hold on a second while we get.
I'll be happy to.
Thank you so much. It's public record. All right, you may proceed, madam.
Thank you. The city of Birmingham is suing our vendor $25 million.
Where was this, Mayor? I got a question. Where was this research before we signed this contract?
So, good question.
Because this news story is from 2022.
Great question, sir. I'll be happy to answer that. Your original contract was done in 18.
No, it was
19.
All right,
It was
Madam
done
Administrator,
earlier.
Wait a minute. Let's get some clarity. Madam Administrator, do you have the dates of this contract? I'm gonna drop out so you can come in, okay?
The original procurement, the RFQ, was dated March 20th, 2018. The contract was signed in 2022 prior to the lawsuit being filed. I would also like to state that during the course of the original procurement, Birmingham was contacted as they were listed as a reference.
And when we contacted them, did they not tell us they were about to enter into a lawsuit?
No, sir.
Interesting. Okay.
All right. Director, continue. You can. Are you done?
No, sir, I'm not.
All right, continue, please.
Thank you. The lawsuit of Birmingham, and my reason for choosing Birmingham is because that was a reference in the original RFQ. And the other three references that they had given would not be applicable as they were not governmental entities. So that was my reason for choosing Birmingham. But anyway, the city of Birmingham filed the lawsuit on March 30th, 2022, asking for $25 million in damages. The city has accused our vendor of not delivering what they said in their process. The lawsuit, the City of Birmingham versus Train, was filed in Jefferson County. There was a promise by the vendor to make improvements to 119 facilities. That resulted in $102 million guaranteed savings that didn't happen, according to the articles in the lawsuit.
Thank you for that clarification.
The lawsuit says the financing of maintenance costs resulted in the project costing more than $100 million, instead of the project paying for itself as promised, by reducing energy costs and eliminating $20 million in maintenance and capital expenses. The city says it diverted funds from accounts, and they feel like they were mistreated and misled by the company. In fact, the lawsuit states that the city feels like this was a bait and switch procurement. That was a part of what I'm reading.
Okay.
One of the most important and relevant things of the lawsuit I'm going to share with you, and it states this, and I'm quoting from the actual lawsuit. It says, since entering into the contract, the city has discovered that Train, illusionary saving estimates in order to secure a deal to avoid the public bidding process.
Hold 1 second, Attorney Brown.
Mayor Johnson, if I may, I think in order to stay on track regarding this agenda item and procurement, I think your receipt of that document that Ms. Sam is referencing, I think you probably can review it, have time to review it on your own. Yes. For that, because that is an article which is based upon a lawsuit. Research has been done. Train tried to, as a matter of legal fact, Train attempted to remove it from what we would call the Superior Court. There in Birmingham, it's called the Circuit Court. It did go up to the federal. Federal agreed with the city that it was a city matter, and they remanded it to the Circuit Court in Jefferson County, and presently the case is still pending. The matter is not resolved, but I think the document will speak for itself. I do not see a further need to go over the details of the documents. The city clearly has said that in its belief, it did not get what it was promised, but the matter still has to be decided by the court.
Okay, all right.
There is no final judgment that Train performed properly or improperly.
All right. Madam Director, there's a few other points you need to add. We need to get Train up here because I know there's going to be a bunch of questions. Is there anything else you want to add before we have them come up?
Yes, sir.
All right, continue.
I received a PAC agreement that has been executed by the city, and you don't have this information. I just received it.
All right. We received it when today?
I received it on yesterday.
On yesterday.
Late yesterday.
All right.
And I just want you to look at the highlighted areas. I will not read them for you.
Okay.
And the reason I'm concerned about the highlighted areas, after you have had an opportunity to look at this, I want you to, they can't read that fast. I want them to read. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Can you make sure this body gets a copy of that?
I will make absolutely sure, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much. There's one section, another section you want us to read?
Yes, sir.
All right.
This part right here is alarming. It's alarming to me as procurement director because if you see, the agreement shall govern in the following order of precedence. Okay, and it states A, the PAC agreement, and then it says B, of the contract. Well, as procurement director, I think those should be in reverse. Because under the PAC agreement, there are no really assurance that you're going to get your guaranteed savings. So with those things said, and what I've shared with you, unless the administrator wants to add something, on 3 weeks ago, I said to proceed with caution. But today, I'm asking you not to proceed at all.
All right.
I
All
still have a couple of questions.
We're going to come to you.
I'm still in the queue. I was in the queue
All right.
when this
I know
started.
it. I didn't want to interrupt our director. We're
I
going.
got you.
All right.
She told me she was finished when she flipped
I
her
am,
hair.
sir. I am, sir.
You are
Thank
done?
you.
All right. Chair's going to recognize Commissioner Bobby Williams. We're going to ask Train to move this way. Is there a representative from Train here? All right, you move this way. Commissioner Williams, you have the floor, sir.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Just a couple of questions real quick. I spoke eloquently through you, Miss Sams.
Yes, sir.
One, you said something about something that was supposed to come in phase one is also being indicated in this quote-unquote supposed phase two. So did they not do those things, or is it being duplicated in the next phase, whatever they call it?
Well, the various phases that was being shared with the procurement department at the time of submittal, there wasn't a phase two.
Correct.
That says an audit.
Right.
The information that I shared with you were the names of the buildings that were audited initially. This phase two, they are saying that they want to go back and audit the buildings that they had already audited. But for the amount of money that we're going to pay them to do that, we found a significantly less buildings that were new that was being brought to the table.
Okay, my next question is, should this be, if we do anything that smells like a phase two, should this be another procurement?
I know that it should, absolutely.
Okay.
Because this is not a part of the original contract.
Right, so this process that we're going through today, you're saying should just be stopped, and if we consider anything, it needs to come back through procurement.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. President.
You got it, sir. All right, representative from Train, if you will, for the record, please state your name and address, please. Who's going to be spokesperson? I'm going to go through the rest of the queue here.
Thomas Brown with Train at 3841 Fox Glen Court Northeast in Brookhaven, Georgia.
All right, what's your name again? Repeat that. I heard some.
Sorry. Man. Thomas Brown.
Thomas Brown. All right, sir, you come on. We get.
Yes, I'm Cal Smith, 104 Fox Trail Drive, North Augusta, South Carolina.
All right, before I go into the queue, were any of you aware of these documents that have been presented to us today by procurement?
I don't know what packet you have in your hand. I know what documents we've reviewed with them. I can't confirm what you've got.
All right, thank you so much. Chair recognizes Commissioner from the 10th, Commissioner Guilfoyle. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you. This question for the administrator of all things. Madam Administrator, as far as this thing being laid out on the floor, did you bring the intern, Mr. Lampkin, Train, procurement together to have a meeting to discuss this, as would probably be appropriate?
Yes, I did. That was at the direction of this body.
Okay, and they aware of everything that was just spoken that Ms. Sams spoke about in that meeting?
Yes, sir, but as Mr. Brown just stated, he does not have a packet of the documents directly. However, everything that Ms. Sams presented to you has already been seen or presented to Train or received from Train in the past.
And as far as this litigation that's going on in Birmingham, it has not been to trial yet, so we are assuming that everything that's in this lawsuit is correct, is what it was presented as. And I don't think that's a fair statement, would it be? Well, I guess you're going to answer, Mr. Brown?
Yes, sir. No, excuse me.
So we could bring up litigation.
Presenting what's in a lawsuit does not take a side as to what facts are correct or not correct. Only the court can determine those allegations. I think the value of the procurement director presenting to you what Train references are saying has value in the sense that Train offered references, and in the context they offered the references, they said that they have performed well, they have performed more than anyone else. They do great service, and they showed their references as a testimony upon which you could check and rely upon. I think at this point, it's important for the commission to know that if you contract, not just with Train or anyone else, and their references provide information that will serve as a red flag, the idea would to be to follow up on that red flag to see if there's any valid concern that you would have. You certainly would never be advised to ignore it.
Yeah, I just think it's inappropriate to have one of our vendors that this is actually going to be phase 2 that's already done through phase 1, and then we had another company to audit to make sure they see it correctly. And then on the phase 2 or new contract, it's kind of like the garbage contract in essence, is to actually pull up dirt on them without fairness to them. I think it should have been done in closed sessions. Would probably been a better place than putting your stuff out there on the street. But I would like to hear from Train. Y'all were aware of all this information that was thrown at you today? Is that correct?
So we have all this information. Some of this is from the original procurement. Some of it is state code. We've shared all of this with them. We're not aware of the objections to this information. And there's a lot of objections that could be talked to. I'm not sure we could cover them all
right,
today.
Then the MV5, where they wrote on there, need procurement, and there are other red line items. Are you aware of that?
Yes, so we went back and forth with them, heavily modified the original document and incorporated their changes and changes that Mr. Lampkin asked us to make. As far as we are aware, everything had been accepted by NV5. My understanding is that it was in legal review with Augusta.
And with this NV5, y'all had worked hand in hand with before through the first phase?
We have, and if you look back at the original first phase audit report and the scope of the project, heavily modified by NV5, they actually found a lot of great things that helped both Augusta and Train and make sure that we're doing the right thing. And so, yeah, they've been a part of the project ever since they were brought on board to review our original contract.
As far as duplicate services from phase 1 to phase 2?
Sorry, I missed that.
And what Ms. Sams was showing with the yellow line items and the white line items, can you kind of enlighten me on that?
Yes, so originally on the phase 1 audit, we included, it was essentially a list of all the buildings that Augusta is giving us permission to look at. And it was to evaluate various different scope items, ECMs or energy conservation measures, as we call it. In this case, phase 2 was to look, notice the list has narrowed. Some of the buildings have been fully optimized. They don't have any opportunity for additional energy conservation. And so the list that is in phase 2 are only the buildings that they've given us permission to look at right now.
Okay.
So
How big is train operation
locally, internationally?
Throughout the United States?
Yep. So Train's an international company, do about $15 billion of revenue a year.
How many
in
employees?
various-
How many different divisions do they have?
We have, so we're part of the climate division, which would include Train and our residential properties. Hard to stop a train, as most people are familiar with.
Right.
We've got a transportation division, which is Thermo King, that does refrigerated trucks. So those are the two divisions, and we're part of the commercial or the climate division.
And you're aware of the lawsuit with Birmingham?
We are. We can't comment on it because it is an active lawsuit, but Train is fighting the allegations against us.
Right. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Guilfoyle. Chair recognizes Commissioner Brandon Garrett from the 8th.
Thank you. So, according to the presentation from Ms. Sams, she said that when you all were in a room together, she asked just for the municipal buildings savings over the last year since you've done the upgrades. Is there a reason why you can't give those numbers?
Yeah, so part of the challenge is over the last 2 to 3 years, the Georgia power rates have greatly increased. At one point, we had access to be able to see all of the utilities in the city, and that's what we used to develop our numbers. At some point, that access has gone away, and we have not gotten access restored. We have access to 2 buildings and 2 buildings only, and so.
What was this information relayed to her about why you couldn't give the information?
It was not the full background of the.
With the increases from Georgia Power, I mean, that's public record by what the percentage increases have been. I mean, I've seen it on my power bill. So is there not a way to look at what the, I think one was a 6%, and I think there was an 8% somewhere over the last couple of years. I mean, can we not do the math there to give a comparison?
Certainly, and we're prepared to do that. That requires, again, access to the rates and where they've gone. There's another part of Georgia Power bills that's called fuel charge, and that is variable at all times based on the rate that Georgia Power has to pay for natural gas. So in addition to the rate increases that you're seeing that are being passed by the Public Service Commission, there could be fuel charge increases as well.
And even with that, I mean, is there a reason why there wasn't a more upfront conversation about this potential lawsuit from Birmingham?
As mentioned, it came up while we were already engaged on this project, right? So the lawsuit, I don't know the exact date of when that was done, but we were well into our audit here, and that's a different state, a different set of individuals managing it.
Okay, but basically, it seems like, at least reading through the news article that was sent to us this morning, it seems that they were kind of promised the same thing Augusta was. So I'm sure that if you put yourself in our shoes, you can definitely see the way we're looking at this. I mean, it definitely raises much concern of, hey, Birmingham apparently is running some issues. Our procurement department is, seems like they're hitting their heads against the wall trying to get answers. So I'm just not really sure what's the disconnect here other than, and you mentioned access being taken away. Why was that access taken away?
My understanding is we had an employee leave the company, and he was the one that had the access to it. So never got restored. As part of the development process, once you've got the utility bills, you don't need them again until you're at the end of the project for guaranteeing the savings.
Administrator, do you want to speak towards that one? I mean, it seems that would be something that could be transferred over with a request. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll get out.
Commissioner Garrett, you are correct that the Central Services Department has the ability to grant access to our third-party providers when needed, if needed.
So, per your recollection or Central Services, I don't know if they want to chime in. I'm just curious, was there not a conversation out there that train needed access to.
Right, and that's something we're working on now with our.
Why are you just now working on it now?
No,
I mean, you're asking us to vote on something, but you know, we have department heads that are asking for information from their past work, trying to help guide us as in a way that to help us make good, educated decisions up here. But it seems like we're putting all the carts before any horse. But it sounds like we're putting all the carts before we ever bought a horse. So I'm just trying to figure out what the heck's going on. Why are we even talking about this on the floor like this when obviously nobody's talking within our government, nobody's discussing, you know, getting these answers that they're needing in order to provide us with what we need. So I just don't understand why we're even discussing this.
Just to answer that question, we have been working with Train and also our billing department to try to get access to those bills, and you have to go through Georgia Power. This just came up in the last month or so. We did have that meeting in procurement. This question did come up about the municipal building, but as stated, they didn't have access right now at this time to be able to go over the billing for the municipal building. Also, in going back to what was stated about giving this information in the future, it is at the end of the contract, once everything is installed and working, that after 1 year, they do go back and give you a full report of where you were before and then where you are now, once those energy savings are those mechanisms have been put in place. So yes, I'm also in the process of making sure, because they did have an employee leave, that employee was given the access through us to do that. And so now we just have to switch that over, and that's what we're working on.
How long has that employee been gone?
So he's been gone for a while, but.
Okay, that's all I need to know. I'm sorry, I'm at the end here.
I don't disagree that the employee has been gone for a while, but the thing is that question didn't come up that they could do the comparison to now. So that's why we're just now working on it. It was not something that we had to do right away. We were in the middle of the project. So that's why we didn't have it until this issue came up. As far as where we are now and discussing the contract itself and what we're doing with the phasing of this project, we do have NV5 ready to take a phone call if necessary. We did have a meeting. All these questions came up. We did establish that due to state and federal or state government rules that you can go into phases on this project. Going back, looking at the agenda items from the first part of this project, the reason why we had it shouldn't have been called phase 2, I guess, because the first agreement was considered phase 1 to approve the first audit that was done. Phase 2 was considered the construction phase, which we are in now. But in the government guidelines, it does give municipalities the ability to move forward with additional phases if you so choose to. Sure. So that's what we're asking for now. If you get the consultant on the line, he'll also tell you that all municipalities that he worked with go into multiple phases, school districts, anybody else that is doing an ESCO project at this time. So that's where we are on that.
Can we just pause right there? Yeah. I've heard this NV5 mentioned numerous times. We're supposed to be talking about that in the next item. Is there a representative here from them that can?
Yeah, he's ready to call in. They're out of New York, so he's not.
So they're not here today.
Right.
But
yeah, he's watching the meeting. He's ready for a phone call whenever. If we got questions for him as well.
Honestly, at this point, I don't think that.
We don't need it. We don't need it.
Motion to receive all of this as information because this does not need to be discussed any farther.
Yes, second. Second.
Hang on.
All right, I got you in the queue. Give me a second. All right, well, I'm coming to you next. All right, I'm coming to you next.
Something, though. Hang on.
I will give you, Madam Clerk, we received a motion and a proper second to receive his information. Yeah. The chair recognizes Commissioner from the 5th, Commissioner Bobby Williams.
Thank you so much. I'm going to go back to Mr. Garrett, Commissioner Garrett. Now, you want to just receive it as information, or do we want to try to put together the administrator and procurement and some folks to look at it, think about it, or we just want to receive it as information? I'm with whatever y'all want to do.
I would say that if we're going to even consider moving forward, then yes, let's do that. But at this point, I'm not sure, reading the tea leaves up here, I don't think that,
What kind of tea you got?
right now, just Coke. But,
All right, I'll leave it right there. I'll leave it right there.
All right, Madam Clerk. All right, we got a motion and a second.
No, I am in the queue.
You're in?
I'm
You're
in the queue.
All right, I see you in the queue, sir.
been
You
in the
have the
queue.
floor. Commissioner Alvin Mason from the floor.
Yeah, thank you. No, we're laughing, we're joking, but this is not a laughing or joking matter. First of all, I'm extremely disappointed in the director from Central Services, our staff, whomever, because of the fact that this should never come to us like this. There were so many discrepancies that was brought forward, and I'm not even talking about any lawsuits or any of that. That's irrelevant to the point. Not irrelevant, but that's not the main factor here. And it is good information to have, by the way, because that's something that we should assess, and that's something that all of us should assess. But before it got to us to this point, it should have never got to this point with all the questions and the concerns that are left out there. If I'm here to tell you, we need to tighten up our ship. From director to whomever, Mr. Lampkin, our administrator, procurement, whomever it is, we need to tighten up our ship because this should not happen. What that tells me is that there's not a level of effective communications that's happening. I'm not saying communication is not going on. I can sit here like this and I'm communicating. It's not effective. And we need some effective communication going on. You're about to put this commission into a bad situation, potentially into a bad situation. Now, at this point, nothing's moving. I can guarantee you that. Nothing's moving. But the point even more further is that we should be even doing any business, period. And where are we now? Do we cut our losses and run? Or what do we do from this point? Listen, we're not gonna fix this today. But if we get in this position again, I'm here to tell you, it's not going to be good for anyone. Take your positions that you have as a staff in this government seriously and do what needs to be done. Dot the I's, cross the T's. There are hierarchies. There are codes that have to be adhered to, and we have experts that are in those positions for that. You can't expect every single commissioner up here to understand every single code, whether it's procurement, whether it's engineering and transportation or whatever. That's not what we're here to do. That's not our area of expertise. We count on each and every one of you to help us in that area, and when you bring us something, we want to understand and believe that what you're bringing us is what you should be bringing us, and that is true, and that you vetted it through the appropriate people, had that communications going on, come to us as a team and say, hey, here's what the problem is, or here's what the issue is. If there's a problem, then work it out with the team before it ever gets up here, before it ever gets here. And that's what needs to happen. That's all I have to say, Mr. Mayor.
Amen.
Thank you, Commissioner. Chair recognizes Commissioner Jordan Johnson from the first.
One last question, and this is to finance or to the administrator's office. The $3 million that we allocated in ARP, has that money been expended on this project yet? I believe there was $3 million for the train contract. Not this project, but the other contract.
The original pact agreement, yes.
It's been spent.
That is correct. It was spent at the onset of the project.
And how much to this date have we spent altogether on this train stuff?
$23 million. We are nearing the end of construction.
And how did we get to this point right here, item number 21?
Director Lampkin would need to speak to this matter.
Can you answer that very briefly? I just want to know, how did we get to this point right here? And I'm going to leave it alone.
Very briefly, as stated before, the government is now allowing us to get rebates on any of the solar that we're doing. And we just got this information back in January. To capitalize on those rebates, which we are in phase 1 or the beginning of this project, we also decided it would be good if we could do that in a continuation of the project. And looking into our state government issue guaranteed energy savings performance contracts, you are allowed to, if you wish, to go into additional phases of your original contract with an ESCO company.
Let me pause you right there, Mr. Lampkin. Let me just ask you a straight question. I'm going to leave it alone. Was this your idea?
Yes, it was.
Okay, that's it. All right. Thank you.
All right, Director Lampkin, did you need to add anything further?
Yes, this was my idea in consulting with NV5, who is our consultant on this project, and also in meetings with Train. We do have a construction meeting. It was advised that we look into doing some additional work while we were already under an ESCO contract. So this is how we get to this point.
Thank you so much. Seeing no other colleagues in the queue, Madam Clerk, there's a motion and a proper second that we receive this as
Without
information.
objection.
Is there anybody objecting that we receive this as information? Who's on the floor?
Without objection. We have one more item. We didn't.
Yep, that's right.
On the sheriff item, how do we?
It was consented. It was consented.
Huh? Oh, okay.
Right.
All right.
Don't remember, we can vote.
Can we vote on it?
All right. Yeah.
No, let's just vote on it, just in.
All right. So
Motion to approve the addendum
Thank you.
item.
Second.
there's a motion and a second to approve the addendum item. Madam Clerk, we're voting.
All right. It's for the grant agreement, grant award.
All right, colleagues, we got one other item, even though it's going to be quick.
Hear 'em do it. They talk.
Yeah, number 20. We did 21. Number 20, same thing. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Right, we got it right. 20 goes with. All right. She still has to put it on the record, colleagues. All right. All right. Wait a minute. Let her read this into the record.
That motion carries with Mr. Johnson out.
And Commissioner Pulliam. Yeah, all right, Madam Clerk, for the record, we have to read number 20 into the official record. Last item.
Item number 20. Okay. Motion to approve proposal option B not to exceed greater of 2.5% of total ESCO sale price or minimum of $250,000 from IBA Consulting Engineering doing business as MV5 Consultants.
Motion to approve.
We have Mr. Garrett and Ms. McKnight. There's a motion already to receive his information. So if you want to just carry the vote, we can.
We can't carry the vote. There's a motion
All right,
to
let
receive
him
his
vote.
information. All right, motion to receive
To
his
receive his information. No, we tried that. They didn't want that. So they voted. We did receive 21 without objection. Receive his information.
All right, colleagues, we got to publish this vote. Let us wait a minute.
Mr. Garrett,
let us publish the vote,
can we
please.
get you to vote on this?
Let us publish the vote. All right, Madam Clerk, please publish the vote.
All right, that motion carries. Is unanimous.
All right, thank you, guys. This meeting is hereby adjourned. Thank you for being here.
Hi, Tina Slindick.